Welcome to the Diabetic Mogul podcast. In this podcast, we offer standard and recommended practice of not only managing your diabetes well, but also how you can get involved by advocating for proper access to healthcare. Join us in this season as we host various guests within the diabetes community from around the world with their shared experience as people living with diabetes and some as healthcare providers. I'm your host, Tinotenda Zigit, the Diabetic Mogul, a patient advocate, a Toastmaster, and a financial intelligence expert, with a vision of empowering, educate, inspire the diabetes community in the best way I know how. To do this, I write articles, volunteer, record podcasts, and share on my various social platforms, and you can find out more on the link tree via my bio. On this episode, we are having our special guest, a nutritionist and a scientist from Germany. Julia, please take it away.
Julia Joseph, and I have type 1 diabetes since about 6 years. I'm a nutritionist and I currently live in the UK, although I'm German.
So tell us briefly about life with diabetes in this European country in terms of access.
Yeah, I know that it's a big topic in the diabetes world to have access to all the supplies, and I have been very privileged to grow up in Germany, to be German, and then never having an issue accessing anything. Like when I first got diabetes, they even offered me a pump. And at that point, I was not even ready. I was like, what is this? I don't want to have something attached to my body. This is strange. Like I was absolutely not in the right mental stage to accept all this technology, which was offered for me from the beginning. And then only a few years later, I decided, okay, yes, I do want a pump. Now I have an insulin pump. I have a sensor, the Freestyle Libre sensor, which measures my blood sugar. And I'm very pleased with both. And I got those also in the UK. So both Germany and UK are really good countries when it comes to insulin supply, insulin itself, and then all the technology. So I really never struggled to access anything. There was a time when it was difficult to get the sensors in the UK, but I'm really, really lucky. But I know that when I travel, for example, it's not so easy. If I go to another country, it's not the same. And it makes me think also that I should maybe stay in one of those two countries or maybe at least a European country. But I feel restricted a bit through diabetes to be able to just go anywhere because I'm like, can I get my insulin supply there? How will it be? So it's not all great, but where I am at the moment in Germany and UK, it's really good.
Knowing that you are from Germany, but now we have UK where you're staying right now, you also get the benefits like a citizen in the UK would get, given the fact that you are from Germany.
I entered the country when the UK was still in the EU. So, and within all these schemes and stuff, I was able to get it all very easy. It has changed now with Brexit, but thankfully I'm here long enough.
What is the role of a nutritionist as yourself in a country like UK?
I think nutritionists are very important when it comes to health in general, and then diabetes, type 1 and type 2 and others in between. Just because when people become doctors, for example, or specialists in diabetes, they only learn so much about nutrition. It's actually not a major subject in medicine to learn about nutrition, which is a bit strange because nutrition has such a massive impact on our body. And then it's good to have specialized people to be able to cover that topic, because even when people like these healthcare professionals specialize in diabetes, even they learn about nutrition, but they learn the standard, what has been known, and they still teach sometimes, I feel, quite old knowledge, because research is constantly emerging. And it's important in every sector of healthcare to stay up to speed with emerging research. And therefore, I think that as a nutritionist, there's more capacity to really focus on just one topic, because to give credit to all the amazing people working in the field of diabetes, they have a lot to consider also. Nutrition is not their only thing to focus on. So therefore, I think it's very good to have the field of nutrition as a specialization for people, and then also have the connection with people who have diabetes to help them, because even like nutrition is a big field, right? Like you can go to a nutritionist to lose weight or to improve your skin or your hair, or many reasons. But I specialize in diabetes as I have it myself. And I think it's kind of ideal if you speak with a nutritionist nutritionist or any kind of struggle you have with someone who has been in the situation. So if someone lost a lot of weight, then it's worthy speaking with these people. If these people are specialized and actually have a degree in that field, then even better. So I'm really glad that I can work as a nutritionist, and particularly with like-minded people and other type 1 diabetics.
Say you're eating this food today, it will have a different effect on the next day. So if you're talking with someone like you, someone who really knows what they're going through, at least they would understand. And how is your job career impacted on your diabetes management and that of the community, of the people that come to you for help?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the question. I was very lucky to be a nutritionist before I got diagnosed. So when diabetes hit me, I immediately knew what to do. Like, I knew that I can stop eating sweets, which I actually was never eating much before, but also reduce my carbohydrate intake and other tips and tricks. And I do regular fast, I do intermittent fasting, I do extended fast. So for me, it was probably easier in some extent than for other people for who the field is completely new. And on top of that, I have a very strong network with healthcare professionals. So in my family, they are doctors and nurses. And I grew up in an environment where it was always normal to eat healthy and to be well and to have daily topics and conversations over lunch and dinner around health. I was very glad in that extent. And then because I knew already about nutrition, when I got diagnosed, I was able to share that immediately. Like, I would share that in my podcast with the community. You're very active, and I know that we met through many forums and stuff. Like, there also to be a patient advocate, and when people come to me to have the experience but also the professional knowledge. So I'm very glad that I have this combination that I can share with the community. And the type 1 community is amazing. I think they are really nice, and they're very appreciative also, because like it's quite a bit of effort to put the content out there, to always be up to speed with everything. So it takes a lot of energy, but as I'm very passionate about what I do. And I do feel that it's a mission in life and a desire of myself to do help people. It's just something which makes me happy, seeing other people thrive and also test what I do. Like, first I do the things with my own body, like I experience it, and then when it works, then I can give it as an advice.
I mean, the things that you've been posting, even on your social media, and thank you for the work that you do to help the people, because they really need that help. And without further ado, let us move on to that one topic that you are very much passionate about your passion for ketogenic. So can you share with the audience how it really works?
Yeah, thank you for this great introduction to the question. Keto is really my life. Like, when I got diagnosed, I started low carb, and then later diving more deeply into keto. And what it is basically reducing the carbohydrate intake down to, it depends from person to person, but about 25 grams or less per day. Anything above like 50 to 100 is about low carb. And what it does is, because carbohydrates are converted into sugar in the body, and that affects our blood sugar, it's very beneficial for diabetics of any type of diabetes really, to reduce the intake. Because very often what we learn, and also what I got told at the beginning, I mean, when I got diagnosed, they told me nothing about nutrition. They were like, this is your meds, you need to inject at this time of the day and this amount, and that's about it. Come again for a checkup. And as I mentioned before, I was already a nutritionist, so I was okay. I did manage. If there was something I didn't know, I researched it, or I asked my network. But there's so much we can do with nutrition, and with keto we can focus also on the carbs, or better to say, not to focus, like leave them out and reduce them, because then we can reduce our insulin intake a lot, which is beneficial in the way that we have less fluctuation. So because we already know there are like so many things, like hundreds of things influencing our blood sugar, and nutrition is the main part of it. So by reducing the carb intake, we can run much flatter lines. We have less lows, less high. And I feel for myself that life just gets easier, because I'm not up or down, and having all the stress and the fatigue of being in a low. It's just so draining. But then with keto, just by reducing it, and I eat cheese, I eat meat, I eat a lot of vegetables. That's basically my main thing. I just don't eat potato or rice, maybe like really heavy carb, but I eat a wide variety of food, and that's what everyone can do. And then there are many, many other benefits being on keto, especially as a diabetic.
People talk about keto to say it compromises the aspect of balanced diet, which everybody else has to maintain regardless of being diabetic. I mean, can you, like, on a nutshell, can you really disclose it to that to say, does keto compromise the balanced diet, or it is in line with the balanced diet?
Yeah, it's a good question, because we need to think about what are we considering as a balanced diet. And to be fair, what we currently have in the mainstream media, what a balanced diet is high in carbs. High in carbs and means it is high in sugar. And we see the rise in not just type 2 diabetes, but obesity and so forth. Like, there's a complete different trend, which is not just to do with the guidelines, but it has to do with how, especially in the Western world, people treat their bodies, and for several reasons. And I think that keto is very balanced, done it in the right way. So you can take any diet, and with diet, I mean not dieting in terms of losing weight, but just a style of eating, a way to eat, called a diet. And with any diet, or with many at least, you can do it in a healthy way or in an unhealthy way. If you eat, carbohydrates, but you eat like good carbohydrates with a lot of nutrients, that can work. For myself, it doesn't work very well in combination with diabetes, but for others, it's their way, and they choose to, and it works for them. So with keto, it's the same thing. You can follow a healthy way of following keto, or not. So for example, a healthy way of following keto is to eat a lot of vegetables, and you can have a bit of fruit as well, like berries and things. So it can be a very balanced diet. And the misconception of that you need to eat a lot of fat, or that you maybe need to eat a lot of protein, is not true. In fact, if you don't eat produced food, which would be a healthy way of following keto, if you make everything fresh, what I do, I cook every day fresh, I make everything, I don't eat anything already produced, then I actually eat less fat than people who eat chips, who have ready prepared meat. The ready prepared meals, they're so high in fat. They eat much more fat than me. So even like saying like you need to eat and too much fat is not healthy, also that is misconception. But there is a lot of misconception keto need to bust, I feel, and we're getting there. Here in the UK, I see more and more shops offering keto options now. So I feel that people slowly understand that it can be a very healthy way if followed in a healthy way, and not just like ready, like choosing like going to McDonald's and having like the burger without the bun. Like, this is unhealthy keto. Yes, it's the keto because you're just eating protein. Not ideal.
Oh, thank you so much for the great details. Thank you so much for that. And maybe because of our time, we couldn't cover as much questions as I would have wanted to have greater detail. And maybe the audience would require me to have you back on this show. Give your last word to the audience.
Sure, yeah. I think it's important to listen to people who walk the walk, people like you as well, like having this amazing podcast, reach out to people and really connect. So important when we live with condition such as type 1 diabetes or another form of diabetes. Network is key to also stay mental. It's not just about what we put in our mouth, but also what we put in our head and our thoughts and so forth. And I think the community can help a lot. And I'm happy to share. So if anyone, wants to reach out or have questions, I'm happy to share also my detail. And I mean, people can find me with a Happy Type 1, less on social media now, but hopefully soon I will be back on my website, for example, the Happy Type 1 or Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
Oh, thank you so much. It was great to have you here, Julia. It was great to ask you all the questions and with the great detail that you've provided for the audience. And I'll be sure we can thank you enough. Please keep up with all, and we hope that your social media platforms will be back online so that you continue with the things that you do. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
A huge thanks to our guests and to you listeners. Our hope is you learned something, and we strongly recommend that you check out the content from Julia's website, thehappytype1.com. And thank you until next time.